As part of our commitment to excellence, ITR Economics meets with its clients to conduct case studies. We want to hear directly from our clients to see just how our unique methodology and accurate insights are providing a positive impact on their businesses each and every day. Recently, we met with Matt Totsch, the Chief Financial Officer for Trim-Tex. Trim-Tex was founded in 1969 and is a leader in the polyvinyl drywall industry.
Trim-Tex, we are a family-owned business. We're in the second generation. We have just about 200 employees. From day one, we were a PVC house, and a large content of our product, or a large percentage of our total content, is recycled material. So our owner, Joe Koenig Sr., saw an opportunity in the plastics industry to see this recycled waste coming, post-industrial scrap coming from the thermoforming industry. He's like, I have to make something with it. So, and then he saw the opportunity in construction. So we've really from day one have been a recycled house to this day. We're probably about 80% recycled content, and we're producing about 20 million pounds a year, or about 400 million feet a year, which try to do the math. I can't remember, but it's like 25 times around the earth. I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot of corner bead. And so we're in the building materials space, and we extrude vinyl drywall bead. And so we feed into both residential and commercial space. And so we see a lot of different ebbs and flows with the economy. It's could be, right now residential's down a little bit, commercial's up. So it kind of it helps us out a little bit. And we have product that feeds into both markets. And so I am the CFO here at Trim-Tex. I started about 3 years ago, and my responsibilities are over the finance team, the IT team, and the procurement team. And really, I see myself as a new, and this is really where I connect with ITR a lot. And it's about data and getting information to people. And so I'm really a resource to all departments here at Trim-Tex, and I'm more operationally focused. And so away from the traditional CFO role, where literally when I started here, day one, I'm like, all right, a 1 month close, all this paper that has got to change. Like, it's all about getting information to people, good information, accurate information to people in a timely basis. And, I always view financial statements too as kind of a lagging indicator, or a kind of a report card. And so just like ITR, my goal is to create leading indicators for departments and to work with them to better understand what truly drives their department, what changes can they make within their department today that will lead to a more successful, income statement or balance sheet. And so that's really how I view my role as a driver to help people innovate and just continue to adapt in this ever so changing world. I mean, I saw this really interesting stat. It was in regards to how fast technology is changing. It was like, I think it took a year for Netflix to get to 100 million users. ChatGPT just came out. I think it was like within a couple of days, it was to 100 million users. So I think that puts it really into context on how fast technology is changing, and really the CFO role. I mean, IT reporting to the CFO. I mean, it makes sense when you start to think about it, because we're just connecting all the pieces here at Trim-Tex.
As a producer of more than 200 drywall solutions to customers for more than 50 years, Trim-Tex has a variety of unique customers they target.
We call our customers would be the end users. So the end users to us are the pros. We call them the level 5 users, and that's the way we're marketing it. And so those would be the trades, the really subcontractors that are hanging the drywall. And who's paying the bills though, and who's using our product, two different things. So we sell our product or invoice to customers would be distributors. And so really it's just been a lot of mergers and acquisition. I mean, like 25 years ago, you're 5 to 10,000 customers. Today we're talking like 10 customers that make up 80% of our total revenue. So it's just been mass consolidation in our industry. And there's a lot of value too within what what these distributors are doing. It's becoming more efficient as opposed to having to go to all these independent shops. It starts to make sense, I'd say, for the end user too, for economies of scale to be able to move more product throughout the country. However, one thing that's really impacted us is our ability to, gosh, when I started 3 years ago, we had just south of 800 SKU numbers. And I mean, really, what through supply chain. And another thing that ITR has helped us understand is like concentration, like Pareto principle, 80/20 principles. And so finding those core components or the core SKUs. So through the Pareto exercise or 80/20 exercise, we reduced our SKU count to just under 300, and it's allowed us to create more focus on our products. And if we didn't do that through COVID, I mean, we would have been dead in the water. I mean, but that'd be really kind of I'd say the one negative about having consolidated markets. It's harder to get your specialized products out because the large distributors just want to push volume and push those core products. And there's a lot of creative products out there. It's hard to get to people's hands, and especially for us, when you look at our product, it's 8 feet long, and so it's really hard to move, and it's just from a logistics standpoint, not the most sought after product. People want the easiest things to move, which would be like on a traditional 4x4 skid. So that's one thing that we've been up against.
Every growing business comes across challenges they need to address. Totsch details his experience working with ITR Economics and how our services were the answer Trim-Tex was looking for.
I was using ITR prior to Trim-Tex, and I actually brought ITR over to Trim-Tex. And so that goes way back. I've been using ITR, and I call it the poor man's ITR. Starting about 10 years ago, I would subscribe to the newsletters, and I would use the 312 and 1212. I concocted my own, creating the data sets within my own Excel spreadsheet. And so I would look at the trends, and then I read the book too. So I would know hey, if the 312 cross the 1212, start to, consider this. So then I was self-taught essentially. And then I would just read at that time, I'd just read the manufacturing core news articles or whatever. Coming over to Trim-Tex, and we have just a much different philosophy here than we had at Precision, where it's make the investment. I was so excited to have the support here and the resources. It's all right, bring the experts in, right? And so we reached out, and then within 3 months of my tenure here at Trim-Tex, and that just speaks to the leadership we have. They're let's bring in the expert. And so that's when I reached out to Tasha, and we're let's get an engagement going. And so now we've been with ITR for, that's 3 years, but to me, it makes sense. It's for a really small cost, you have this expert who is looking at your business in a different way and getting you to think about things differently and really motivating you. I mean, we love messing with Connor now, who's our economist that's assigned to our account. And we use it as internal pressure to drive us to do better. And we constantly beat the forecast because it motivates us. And we constantly have to think, how do we beat the general economy? And I think it dumbfounds Connor at sometimes. You guys got the secret mojo going at Trim-Tex. And I honestly think we do. And it helps us, you don't want to you want to check your hubris and your ego, but it does push you, and you can't, you want to stop and celebrate your wins, but it keeps us going. And so I know heading into some economic headwinds next year, our forecast was upgraded. So it gives us, just some, we're doing the right things. And so it kind of checks us and helps motivate us to continue to go on.
ITR Economics has been such a successful and welcome addition to the Trim-Tex team. Although things may have gone differently if Trim-Tex couldn't find a solution to address their challenges.
To understand who Trim-Tex competes against, I think is important. So as I mentioned, we're a PVC house. We produce vinyl drywall bead. And so if you look back through time, what were people doing with drywall before vinyl came? Because I mentioned it started about 50 years ago. We were one of the founders of the vinyl drywall bead. Before that was steel. And so to this day, people use steel to finish their drywall. And so we continue to take market share uh, from the steel because vinyl is far superior to steel. It's lightweight, it's dent resistant, it's easy to work with. There's a incredibly less amount of waste. And so when you look at the steel corner bead industry, and really I'd say building materials industry overall, it's an industry that doesn't change very often. This is the way we've done things, and why if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But bringing it back to ITR and what it's helped us understand is we look at the steel industry because uh, steel, especially as opposed to say the virgin plastic market or even the recycled PVC market, it moves a little slower than the steel market. I don't know how many people watch steel out there, but was it up like 400% during COVID? So, when we can see those trends coming down the pipeline, that's really our opportunity to make the conversion from steel to vinyl. Certainly, when people start getting hit in the wall that hard, it's a drive to change behavior, and so we look at that on a quarterly basis.
Totsch continues to explain how valuable our quarterly reports are to their strategy when meeting with ITR Economics senior forecaster Connor Lokar.
It's really just that quarterly report. I like to look through there and look at the trends and the leading indicators to kind of see what's going on. Especially one thing that Connor's done for us on a quarterly basis is, we can read through the report. Okay, we don't need Connor there to regurgitate all the details. As our relationship builds with Connor, he starts to understand more of what drives our business, and so other macroeconomics outside of Trim-Tex that have pressures on what happens. And so it's just, especially with residential, I mean, that's just so closely tied to GDP growth, and just really understanding the macroeconomic principles of what's going on out there. And I also go through all the construction reports semi-regularly. Like, it's nice to have all the segments broken out, whether that's like, multi-unit family housing, all the different types of commercial builds, because there are a lot. You kind of look at what's going on with the recent CHIPS, I think it's the CHIPS Act, on all the data center build out. So, that's big for us. We've been in a lot of those data centers in terms of finishing out those centers. They use our commercial code products. So, if you can start to get a better sense of industry specific of what's going on, you can gear your marketing efforts to be able to hit those opportunities. Obviously, you don't want to, it's hard to squeeze blood out of a stone if you're trying to market into a specific area there's just not as much business there. You want to target specifically where you're going to be able to harvest that wheat. And so that's really one area too that's helped us out.
Totsch is not the only one at Trim-Tex using our insights. Much of their executive team has access to our data, as it helps their business leaders remain on the same page when building their strategy.
At least on the quarterly check-ins, the CEO, president, our chief revenue officer, our VP of sales, our controller, our VP of business development, our director of marketing, they're all involved. And we just had a new promotion internally for our product specialist. He's going to be really out there looking at our product portfolio and getting out into the market and adding on to our existing core products, whether that's a new product line or expansion of our existing product line. So this is going to be huge for him to be able to kind of see what's going on out there, to be like, hey, should we really be investing in this new product and within this industry? Like, what are we seeing the future of this? So I could see him really, really getting into the data and having a better understanding of that.
Totsch said he values the productive meetings with ITR Economics, as we help provide a checkpoint on their company performance as well as help motivate them to succeed.
To me, the value is just having that checkpoint and a motivation for us to exceed the forecast. And just having another set of eyes on things if there's something around the corner. I mean, certainly, whether it's labor or inventory management. And we have this philosophy here, which is much different than I'd say a lot of other companies, which is changing. And that is that, when you start to get into these economic headwinds and people have the tendency to cut, that's not Trim-Tex. And for us, it's like, especially, and this is something that ITR continues to pound in our head, is this idea of labor shortages as we go forward. So it's like, you got to be careful what you do. And now's the time to make investments in people, in the right people, to have them to seize those opportunities when times are really great. So like, when those times start to pick up and you're going through the cycles and you think you want to be able to hit all those opportunities when they present themselves. So we're constantly trying to position ourselves to be able to build, to be able to meet those opportunities. So it's nice to have ITR on our side to help guide that decision making. And to me, that's the most value.
We often hear from clients how our services help them increase their competitive advantage. ITR Economics has helped Trim-Tex set more accurate goals and be quicker and more flexible in its decision making.
It's hard to say because I don't know specifically behind the scenes what other competitors are doing. I could only assume, and that's where I need to be careful. And I'd like to think, so this is all on feel, this has not been confirmed, but I would like to think that we are more nimble than our competitors. We move much quicker than our competitors, and that's our main competitive advantage. So we compete against a lot of 900-pound gorillas. We can just act on information much quicker than they can. And sure, they can pile a ton of money. They have a lot more resources than we do. And we want to take some shots, of course, but for us, it hurts a little bit more if you miss a little bit. And so the quicker we can move and the more accurate we can shoot as we go, the better we're going to be. And certainly ITR helps us aim a little more accurately. And so that's really what we got to lean into. And between our customer experience too, I mean, so that's another area that Trim-Tex has been investing in tremendously, is in our customer experience. It's all about the touch points with your customer and like making it just such a great experience. Like it's just referrals at that point. Like, your customers go and sell your business for you. Like, why wouldn't you want to do business with us? Because we want to do business with you too. And like, we want to listen to you. And it's not always like just do exactly what the customer says. It's a yes, but understanding all of that and doing what we can to make the experience better. So I think that all that together, what I just said, is really where ITR can help us as we go forward.
While offering advice for other businesses considering ITR Economics services, Totsch explained the value we provide for Trim-Tex and how our services can help bring in great profits.
It's just a good bang for your buck. I mean, to me, it's a small amount to pay for a huge return. And I'd say you'd be crazy if you weren't doing it. It's looking at factual information. There's a lot of politics in play in the media that you read. So it's like, I don't know where people are getting their. And certainly following the stock market, that's no economic indicator of where things are going. That's just based on what the herd mentality is feeling on where they think things are going. And so, and I think that speaks to like where ITR's philosophy is. It's just like, stay calm, look at the facts. What is the data telling us? Certainly there's going to be things that we just can't forecast. We call those the black swan events, right? And so that's one reason you need to be engaged with what's going on in the world, because it's hard to forecast those types of things. But I like to have like a cool, calm, collected approach to things of just like, all right, just let's look at everything that's going on and try to cut down on the reaction and the reactiveness. And so that's where I think ITR really helps.
Totsch then summarized his experience working with ITR Economics so far and why he will continue to remain a valued client.
The more checkpoints and the more you can hear from experts, or it's like lean into the experts. we're not economists here. I don't have an economics degree. And I studied some economics when I was in college, but that wasn't my sole focus, and I don't have the systems built out. It's like, don't be a penny foolish. Make the investment, and it's a small price to pay for, like a big person going to the annual checkups with your doctor. It's kind of the way I look at it too.